Hello everyone and welcome to my escape. I'm back. I did not forget about you. It's just the end of the semester. Not much I can do about it. We are 7 days away from being done though. Hopefully graduating. But 7 days away from my last exam, my last assignment. We have 1 week left. And oh my god, do I need that freedom. But I am so behind on my videos. I know. I'm gonna do my March wrap up today. We're gonna go through it pretty quickly because then I gotta go write a paper and also pack up my bedroom. But I wanted to film this now because I'm about to pack up my books after this and I didn't want to. Okay, it's nice. I like them. I like them here. I like them like this. So I wanted to do one last video in front of them before we can say goodbye. And then they're gonna go with everything else in my apartment because I'm moving. But we're gonna go through this quickly. I do have my phone to just kind of like remember order. Normally I like to think my videos are a little more organized. It's a 50-50 gamble, but we're gonna go through and see how it goes. Okay, so right off the hop, I read 17 books. I read 2 fantasies, 3 fantasy romances, 7 contemporary romances, and 1 YA, which is also a romance. So heavy romance this month. 17 sounds like a lot, but honestly, most of them were very short. There were 3 official novellas, so under 200 pages, and I just feel like overall a lot of the books were probably under 400 pages. So as much as it sounds like I read a lot this month, most of it was going to and from campus. I was listening to audiobooks, so I feel like I didn't read 17 books, but that's what the math is saying. That's what the math is mathing. So we're gonna start with Empire of the Vampire. I posted a video on this one summarizing because the sequel did come out. If you haven't read this book, do not watch that video, okay? But if you haven't read this book, read it immediately. Read it immediately. I fell in love with it, okay? I fell in love with it. It's 5 stars. It might be my new favorite book of all time. It might just be because I'm an obsessive person and it's my latest new favorite book of all times. We'll have to wait and see, but I love it. So it's a high fantasy, but I feel like it has better representation than a lot of the ones I've read before. You still have the world building, you still have the tension, you still have the lore, the mythology, the religion, the background. All of it is in this. The sun has gone dark. Vampires are running the world, and we follow our guy in 3 timelines, and he's part of this like vampire hunter religious order. I feel like it's the Knight Templars kind of vibes, but they hunt vampires. So he's narrating it from like the present, we'll call it, and somebody is like chronicling his life, and then he's talking about like this one specific event, which is like the main focus of the book he's chronicling, but then he's also flipping back with like his childhood and it describing like how he got to be in this situation to begin with. So you do follow those 3 timelines, and honestly it just like flows so nicely and you care about every timeline. Like there's not one that you're like, wow, I really wish this could end and stuff like that. I just feel like this book is so well balanced. It's so fun. The lore is there. It pulls you in. It had me giggling. It had me absolutely giggling. I do recommend the audio for this one, but I also recommend the physical. This is the Waterstones edition. Like there's pictures in the book, so that's fun. But with the audio, you get like the French accent, and I just felt like the guy that narrated it did so well. I would recommend it probably on audio, but 100% go and read this book. Go and read this book, go and read this book, go and read this book. It is so much fun. And if you didn't like the book, don't tell me that. Don't let me know that. I literally refuse to hear criticism on this book because I enjoyed it that much. And I love reading 1-star reviews of my favorite 5 stars, literally everything. But am I gonna hear criticism about this book? No. Is it out there? Yes. Does it probably deserve a spot out there? Yes. Will I hear about it? No. I love it. Go read it. And then the second fantasy I read was more of like a cozy fantasy. So it was Legends and Lattes. This is all over the book platforms, nothing new. Had a hold on it in the library. It finally came up. This is literally like after all the adventures have occurred, after all the trauma, after like the regular high fantasy story you would read. It takes your main character and it goes, I'm ready to settle down. So she's an orc and she spent like her whole life being like a mercenary of some kind. You don't really get into it, but there were some sus things there. And she goes, you know what? I don't really want to die in this life I'm living. I really want to open a coffee shop. So she finds a town. She's got a magical stone. And then she just like makes friends building a coffee shop, and it's cozy. Like you're just there for the vibes. The plot really isn't anything deeper. It just really is an orc opening a coffee shop when no one knows what coffee is. I had fun with it. I thought it was really cute. I gave it 4 stars. I wouldn't necessarily say it's my favorite thing or that I would ever reread it. And I wouldn't say that I have any interest in reading like the sequel. They are like standalones, so like they're not connected. This is a full story in itself. But it was fun. It was a good time. We had a second 5-star of the month. So Empire of the Vampire, 5 stars. Bride, 5 stars. So this one is a paranormal romance. You have a vampire, you have a werewolf, and they are in an arranged marriage to like ease the tensions between the werewolves and the vampires. So this is a single POV, we only follow her, but she's like, oh, I don't know if I want to do this, but my best friend is missing and she's literally my whole world, and like nobody in my clan likes me because I was a vampire but raised by humans, also in this like weird let's build treaties kind of way. And then when I came back to the vampires, they all hated me because they called me like derogatory names about humans. And then she was like, the one person I love in my life is gone and the only connection I have is this werewolf, so I'll marry him and I'll investigate her disappearance. And then she moves into werewolf territory. And that is pretty much all I can tell you on that. Aside from that, I absolutely loved it. I absolutely loved it. It is just the perfect blend of everything. I'm not really like a whodunit thing. Like, I don't really care. I don't really care if your best friend disappears or if they die or whatever. I'm sorry, okay? But in a book, don't care. With that said, this had enough going on like outside of that, and like the relationship was really cute that I had so much fun with it. I would highly recommend it to literally everybody. It is an Omegaverse. If you don't know what that is, you can Google that on YouTube. I don't have that video up. Maybe I'll do one day, but it's not gonna be today. But it is a certain specific type of romance. This does a really good job of explaining that. So if you want to like get into it or dip your toe into the Omegaverse, this is a really, really good version of that, because in this one, she has to have everything explained to her because she's not a werewolf, she's a vampire. So she doesn't follow the same like physiology and she doesn't know their culture. So it's like the characters explaining the Omegaverse world to you. And we love that, okay? We love that. It was cute, it was fun, I loved being in her head, I loved like the way she saw the world and just her personality in general. She wasn't like, oh, poor, pitiful me. She was like, these are the cards I've been dealt, let's figure it out. So she was a lot of fun, and I would highly recommend. And then in October, I read the series by Lola Glass, and I had so much fun with it, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta pick up more of hers. So I ended up finally doing that, and I picked up The Art of Avoiding Your Alpha. It's not an Omegaverse, but it's like those werewolf vibes. So what can I say about this one? Lola Glass, she writes short books where the men are like all fated mates, and they can't help it. And you can't like leave. Like once you find your mate, you don't get to decide. It's just like, this is your mate. That is what it is. So it's a lot of fun. They're very easy reads. They're very chill. It's very calm. Like it's just, that is what it is. So The Art of Avoiding Your Alpha does not take itself too seriously. She works at this like coffee shop or something, and this werewolf just like walks in, smells the air, and he's like, my mate. We're doing this now. And she's like, I don't know about that. And he's like, nah, you're moving in. Then like 300 pages later, they're happy and you're in the epilogue. It's fun. It's fun. I gave it 3 stars. Didn't really win me over. I was looking for that like quick over the top, just kind of like comfort read, but I didn't really care about the characters or like their story together, so it was fine. Also by her, and like kind of like an attached series. I don't know which one came first, but it's How to Fall in Lust with a Devil. And that one was like not as good. I also gave it 3 stars. I like the werewolf one better, but just because I'm in like a werewolf phase. This one, instead of werewolf, it was demon, and same like world. They're attached through like the coffee shop or something like that, but same thing. Demons have like a little more range in that they can like push off their mate for a little while, but ultimately these two are forced together, and then it's like, oh, okay, there's a little more like animosity here because he's not feeling it and she doesn't like the rejection. So that's like a little bit of a different spin on it, but I didn't love that one. I gave it 3 stars. It wasn't bad. Maybe if you're in a demon era, that could be you. But like, I liked the alpha one better. Neither one of them were overly great. Okay, and then we're gonna move into the contemporaries. I read Not Your Damn Omega because while everyone was super excited about Bride, somebody I follow on Instagram, I can't remember who it was, but they went on there like, hey, if you cannot get enough of Bride, read Not Your Damn Omega because same vibes, it's also Omegaverse. It's not the same vibes at all. It's truly not the same vibes at all, but okay. I ended up giving it 3 stars. Essentially, it's a contemporary romance, but Omegaverse. So again, if you don't know what that is, look up a video. I'm not going to explain it here, but it's contemporary romance with like some slight physiological changes. So her twin sister is like this super famous popular person. So anytime that like she tries to like meet people or meet a pack to like be with, they're all like, oh, we actually just want your sister. Like, can you pretend to be her because you look like her and like you're close enough kind of thing. So she feels like very rejected and not appreciated because of that. And then she ends up kind of falling in with Tattoo Pack. Like, they're all tattoo artists and they don't really care that her sister's famous. They just like that she smells good. But it's like her learning to trust these guys and then also like delving into the past of each of the characters. It wasn't bad. I didn't hate it. I didn't really love it. I didn't care for it. And I truly didn't really even remember where I was going with the description because I couldn't remember what had happened until I was like saying it out loud. So it is what it is. I feel like there's better Omegaverse out there, but it's not the worst. Okay, and then also kind of in like the same vibe, except not Omegaverses, I read a trilogy and they were actually all connected. So you have to read them in order. So it's Groupie, Rhodey, and Moxie. I gave Groupie 4 stars, Rhodey 3 stars, Moxie 3 stars. I pulled it from BookTube is where I got the recommendation from. It is a reverse harem and it's in that like rock star era. So basically it opens and this girl gets a phone call and she has packed up her whole life in her car and she gets a phone call and her stepmom's like, actually don't bother coming home anymore. Your dad's already dead. And she's like, what? What do you mean? And the stepmom's like, yeah, I actually also don't want to deal with you. So like, just don't come back. So she's several states away. Her dad has passed away. She wants to go to the funeral. She has no money. Her boyfriend was just like a douchebag and like basically destroyed all her stuff and everything. And like all of this is happening and she has this ticket to this concert and she's like, okay, like I'll sell this ticket and get some money and I'll get enough gas to go 3 states over. I don't know American geography. Okay, I think she's in Phoenix and she's trying to get to New York. That seems like a really far way. I don't know. She said she's gonna sell this ticket and get the cash for it. So she goes and she does that and then on the way out, she runs into basically this guy who's doing this competition and she wins like a backstage pass. And she was like, okay, cool. So she ends up meeting this rock group and then falling in with them because she is trying to get across the country and they're traveling across the country. So she just hops on their bus and says, let's roadie together. Yeah. Yeah. I must have been really generous in my star rankings because a lot of these, as I'm thinking back on them, I'm like, they truly weren't that good. Like, this book should not have had a 4-star out of the gate. But it was mind-numbing, I guess, which is what I was looking for at the time. I'm not really sure if I'm into the whole, like, rock star thing or vibe. I wouldn't say I actively, like, stay away from it, but it doesn't drag me in. I think these were some of the first I've read. And yeah, I just didn't really care for, like, always being in the same room because it's a bus. You know, there's nowhere to go. I didn't love how some of the guys treated her, but I was waiting for these, like, character arcs to occur, which didn't, like, satisfy me. Like, I wanted them to grow far more than they did, and then kind of the stuff at the beginning was just kind of, like, brushed off, which was realistic, but it didn't make me happy. So, yeah, I don't know. I just felt like it also moved, like, really, really fast. Like, I think each book takes place over the course of, like, a week, and I'm like, I'm sorry? Oh, a week. So yeah, didn't love that. Also Paxton and Ransom, for some reason, I don't know why, because they're literally nothing alike. I kept getting them confused in my mind. Every time I would like read a sentence and, cause I only read the first couple letters and my brain fills in the rest, but I'd read like Pax and my brain would make it Ran, cause that's Paxton and Ransom. That's what they called each other. And then I would go down and I was like, this is not fitting in Pax's personality. Like, this doesn't make any sense. And then I'd have to go back and be like, oh, because this is Ran. I did that multiple times throughout the whole series. Never clicked in my mind. I don't know why my mind did that. I really don't. But again, I didn't really care for the characters. And I think there was also 5 of them. Maybe there wasn't 5 and Not Your Damn Omega. Whichever one had 5, I'm just saying it's too many. Okay, it's too many. I can't keep up and I don't care. And I cannot possibly care about that many people. No. Another one I read was P.S. You're Intolerable. I actually really did enjoy this one. I gave it 4 stars and it deserved 4 stars. It is fun. It is a workplace romance and she is his like executive assistant or like secretary or whatever. I don't know what the difference is and I don't remember what it was called in the book. So basically she's working for this guy and he's like a brute of a boss and nobody can work with him and nobody can stand him because he's so rude and he's so cold and blah, 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 blah. The regular tropes are there. And she goes, you know what? I'm pregnant and I need a job right now because the baby daddy is out. So I need some income before this baby comes. So she's like, okay, well, here we go. I'll put up with it. And she does. And she just kind of like manages. The boss just doesn't even notice that his secretary is pregnant like 7 months along or something like that. Like his brother or his friend had to point it out and he was like, oh wait, what? And then he kind of feels bad, and then he overhears some conversation, and then he like tries to start like being nicer to her, and then she leaves because she's having this baby, and then his life goes down the drain because he's like, my meetings aren't scheduled, I'm not a grown man, I don't know how to run my life without somebody else doing it for me, I need her to come back. And then he like needs some stuff for her, goes and like sees her a couple months after, I think like 2 months after having the baby, sees the like situation she's living in because her house is a wreck because, again, her ex-boyfriend was awful. Her house is just like a wreck and unsafe to live in, and he's just like, you're moving in with me, and this child is coming, and then they just like move into his like single-story home or something like that. I liked it. Okay, I liked it. It was adorable, and then like watching them come together, it hit the feels for me. Okay, it hit the feels. Sometimes I really hate like all of those tropes together because I just don't understand why you would give the grumpy boss a chance. If he's really that awful, I'm not giving him the chance to be in my social circle. Literally no. But she had no other option other than to move in with him or raise her baby in this like very unsafe house. So then I understood why they were in this like not work setting where he could be like a bit different and show a different side of his personality. I could appreciate it, and I just liked it, and it warmed my little heart, and it made me happy, and I would recommend it. Okay, and then the next 6 I'm gonna talk about all together. 6, yes, because it is the Ali Hazelwood STEM series. So like I said, when I picked up Bride, we're gonna see it again, but Ali Hazelwood, so I read a bunch of her stuff in February. 1 was like a YA book she had just recently published, but 3 were from her STEM series. So she calls it the STEMinist, like feminist, but with STEM, and I love that. It's her STEMinist series, but basically each book is following a woman in academia, and also like their romances, but it also like it gives like the grad life, the PhD life, the research life, the sexism in academia. Like it just touches on all of that, and it just scratches my brain in such a nice way. But also they're just quick, fun, easy reads, and I love her. Okay, I love her. So I ended up rereading all of the ones I did in February. So The Love Hypothesis, Love on the Brain, and Love Theoretically. Ended up rereading all of those. Love Theoretically is still my favorite. The Love Hypothesis, she's a grad student and she fake dates one of the professors. Not her professor, but like somebody else in the department. And that's that. And then Love on the Brain is they're both out of university and they're both working. Previously, they had gone to grad school together for like a year and they were in the same lab. So they do know each other. But this takes place a couple years later. She gets a job at NASA. Turns out she's going to be like co-leading this team with this guy, and they don't really have great feelings for each other from grad school. So it's kind of them getting over that. And then Love Theoretically is my favorite. Okay, it's my favorite. It's 4 stars. The other 2 are 3 stars. But Love Theoretically, they're physicists, and she is like a very, very big people pleaser, like over the top people pleaser, and is also a fake dater. So to pay to get through like education and to live her life as an adjunct professor, because they don't make a lot of money. I don't really know how that all works. But anyways, she's a professor, but not really a professor. She doesn't have like a true position. She just works for a bunch of different universities and they pay her basically nothing, and she has no benefits and she has health issues. And so she's like, I need extra income. So she's a fake dater. So people literally can call her up and be like, hey, I need you to be Jill, you know, my girlfriend of 4 years at this dinner party. And she goes, got you. And she shows up, you know? So that's her job. And she's fake dating this guy. And she's gone on a couple fake dates with him around his family because you seem really sketchy, which is valid. It is valid. But I love it. I think they're so, so, so freaking cute. And watching her like overcome her people pleasing ways. I don't know why that just like hit me so hard because I'm not a people pleaser and I've never been one, but just the cutest, and I love them together. I love them together. I reread it this month, but I want to say I probably reread it like 3 times. I just always had it on. Like I would be like studying and I would have it on. Or I'd be like, you know how you have like a favorite TV show and it's just like on in the background? That was me with this like book. I had it as an audiobook this month, and it was just on consistently. So I wasn't necessarily always paying attention, but it was always on. So I gave it 1 official reread where I sat down and actually like listened to it and like immersed myself. And I just enjoyed it for like multiple times after that. But those were the rereads. So the new ones for this month was the 3 novellas that kind of go along with the series. So very short, very quick, very fun. Love them. Gave them all 4 stars. You can read them in order, you can read them out of order, it doesn't really matter. Basically, it centers around 3 girls. Each girl gets their own book. They were friends in grad school, and the first one is roommates. So like a bunch of like very Random, unbelievable circumstances. So she ends up moving in with this guy that she doesn't know. And he is like a lawyer for like a big oil corp or like environmentally awful corporation. And she is an environmental engineer. So her whole world is like sustainability and all that. And then he's this lawyer for this big, you know, anti-environment corp. But they're roommates, so they have to talk and they have to connect. And there's definitely some animosity there because he was already living on the property. So he doesn't like that she's here. And she's just like, I don't like you as a person. And then they, you know what, guess what? Have to fall in love. So we love that. It's fun. It was a good time. Oh, that one was called Under One Roof. And then the next one was Stuck With You. And this one is like kind of two timelines. So the first is like she has met this guy and basically like they met at a coffee shop and ended up going on this like day-long date and like really hit it off and like really like the emotions were brewing. And then she finds out that he did something and she's like, I will never forgive you. And then they end up stuck in an elevator together where she has to be like, this is why I ghosted you kind of thing. Because of course there's miscommunication and of course they have to talk things out and of course all of this other stuff. But yeah, really fun. That jumped between the two timelines and I had a blast. The third novella is Below Zero. Started when they were in grad school and she had to do this like interview of somebody in the field. So her friend, like that you met from another book, said, hey, I have this cousin who works at NASA. Do you want to talk to him? She's like, absolutely. And then he goes, okay, like, let's meet for coffee. And they do. And there's not a big age gap. He was like a child genius. So he's like 25. She's like 22 or something like that. So it's all appropriate. And then, you know, they really hit it off on this coffee date. And it was like, ooh, ah, we love each other. They didn't say that, but like you get the vibes. Anyways, they have to stop talking for, you know, a reason you find out. And then a couple years later, she's graduated and she gets this job at NASA. He's working there and he's like, oh my God, this is going to be great. And she's like, it would be if I wasn't leaving for Norway in like 3 days or something ridiculous. And he was like, what do you mean? And then she's like, yeah, I got this project. And then he does something that she hates. And she's like, I can't believe you did this. You're not the man I thought you were. You're awful. I'm going to Norway. And then, yeah, he follows her to Norway. And some other stuff happens. Below Zero is absolutely the most dramatic out of any of them. It was so over the top dramatic because you open and she's like about to die. She like is gonna freeze to death on page 1. So it was over the top, but it was so fun. It was so fun. Realism doesn't need to occur. You get the realism enough from like the academic side of it and the academia world and like all of that. The love stories are literally just heartwarming, easy, fun reads. And I love it. And I love her. And I would literally recommend anything she's written. But I love her. I love her. Eventually, I would like every book she owns on my shelf. But it's slow going. Not a lot of people are selling them. And I'm trying not to buy any books because, again, I leave in like a week. Because the same day that all my assignments are done is the same day that I start my road trip home. So no more books can come in here because I have to pack all of these ones and I don't even know how I'm going to get these ones home. But the last one is, because it's YA, obviously it's clean, no spice, and it is I Hope You Never Find This. So this has been, I wouldn't say big on the platforms, but I've seen it on the platforms a lot because every time it pops up, I save it like into like my little TBR reels because I wanted to read it so bad, but I saw the reels like before it even came out and was published, and I hate when they do that. Don't put a reel out until it's published and I can have the book instantly, okay? I don't wait for things. Anyways, I waited for this one and it was worth the wait. I gave it 4 stars. It was really cute. I very much enjoyed it. It gives To All the Boys I've Loved Before vibes for sure, except reverse. So basically, we have this young girl in a boarding school. She's Asian American, I believe, and so is the majority of the student body, and she's always like co-success with this one classmate. So it's like they're co-presidents and they're, you know, co-club leaders and they're, you know, co-valedictorians, or they will be. You know, it's like they're always on par. They're the only two that can really compete with each other. And because of that, they hate each other. Major animosity because they don't want to share all of these accolades and they don't like that somebody could beat them. Fair, I guess. But she is a people pleaser as well. And instead of like ever like saying what she wants out loud or like drawing any boundaries or anything like that, when anything comes up that like really irritates her, she writes an email and then she just doesn't send it and they just sit in her drafts. So she has something like 80 drafts in her email, and most of them are about this one guy that she goes to school with. But there's some others like teachers and like people like other girls in her class and everything, but most of them are about this one man. And I don't know why. I do know why, because you find out at the end, but like, loose writing on that. All of these drafts get sent. Personally, if I'm writing an angry draft, I probably wouldn't attach an email address to it, but you do you. So they all get sent, and this guy has now seen something like, I think they've been in school together since like kindergarten, so it's like 9 or 10 years of like pent up rage, and she's so embarrassed. But also like teachers are now mad at her, and other classmates are now mad at her because she's like vented all of these frustrations. And so she's kind of like on the outskirts, and she doesn't like that, and she can't handle that because she is a people pleaser. So she's like, oh my god, like I need people to like me again, like this is awful, like I've hurt people, like how do I fix this? And the guy's just kind of like, bro, just say it from your chest. Like, if you got something to say, come talk to me. And then they kind of have this like blow up fight at school, and the principal goes, we have to like make this better, so I'm gonna put you guys on all these projects together. And they're like, don't? And he's like, no, this definitely seems like a solid idea. And I said, only in a YA novel does it seem like a solid idea, but okay. So then they're just like forced to interact all the time. But now that he knows, like outwardly, that she hates him, it's like it takes a lot of the pressure off of her, because although they both knew that they didn't like each other, it was never outwardly like stated. Everything was always passive aggressive. So now he's just like, you got nothing to hide, I already know how you feel. And yeah, and then it's just like them kind of like understanding better like each other's backgrounds and where each other is like coming from and what it means like for the success and what like the dreams are. And then they just like slowly fall into love, and it's adorable. And I loved it, and it was so heartwarming, and it was just, so cute. It's so cute. But yeah, that's what I mean by like, it's very much like To All the Boys I Love, because you do have like the Asian American aspect and how that fits in culturally with their life. And then also like these letters that essentially both characters have like collected and then gets released without their permission. So ones are love letters and ones are hate letters, but you know. But yes, that is all I've got for you. That is not nearly as short as I would have liked to have made it, but it is what it is. I have to go write my paper now. Again, this is the last time you will see this backdrop, probably, unless I can squeeze in one more video, but unlikely. Moving forward, you'll probably get a video of me kind of packing everything up and heading off. I was going to do a bunch of vlogging while I was on the road, because I have like a 4-day road trip ahead of me, but then my mom, bless her soul, she took the time off work to come and drive out with me. So I'm over the moon, because I won't be doing that alone. But anyways, that's all I got for you guys today. Thank you for bearing with me as we do a March wrap up, almost at the end of April, but it's been a time, guys. It's been a time. Oh, there's so much to do, so much has been done, so much left. Let me know down in the comments anything that you have read. If you have read either Bride or Empire of the Vampire and you loved it, let me know down in the comments. Bride, I can do both, okay? If you were like, oh, I hated this, let me know why. Empire of the Vampire, get out of my comment section if you didn't like it. That's all I can say, because I literally love that book, and I will die for it. It's fine. But that's all I got for you guys today. I try to post every Saturday and shorts throughout the week, so ring that bell for notifications. Honestly, it's gonna be a little inconsistent here. I'm sorry, I gotta graduate. It's gotta come first. I put 6 years into my education, it's gotta come first. So it is what it is, but I try to post every Saturday. Thank you for your patience, and I'll see you guys when I see you, yes?